News. Jurors in the Karen Read case headed home for the weekend after the start of their deliberations. They have strict instructions to not do any research or speak among themselves about the case outside of that jury room. This came after hours of closing arguments from lawyers, then more jury instructions from the judge.
Now, Read's future hangs in the balance with those men and women tonight. Our live team coverage kicks off with WBZ's Kristina Rex in Dedham, who has been following this trial since day one. Kristina?
Lisa, and this second trial is such a different trial than Read's first. Obviously, there's a new jury, there's a new special prosecutor, there are additional defense attorneys. And even though it's been such a different case with new evidence, there's still one fear in the balance, and that's the possibility of another mistrial.
That's possible. Karen, any work that makes you feel confident that you could avoid a mistrial this time? Or is that a fear?
We've done everything we can, the instructions, the verdict slip. You've seen us fighting in court.
Karen Read's fate is in the hands of a 12-person deliberating jury after lawyers delivered a last pitch of what they say happened, starting like this.
John O'Keefe was 46 years old. He spent his life helping people.
There was no collision. There was no collision.
The defense starting its closing the same way it began the trial, by telling jurors that the data shows there was no car crash.
And John was not struck by a 6,000-pound SUV. Period. Full stop.
Alan Jackson told jurors that Brian Higgins, who was not a witness in this trial, coaxed John O'Keefe to the house that night, into the basement or garage, and that this possibility was never investigated by since fired lead investigator Michael Proctor.
She's a whack job. No, zero chance she skates. She's. And up to this point, Michael Proctor had done zero investigation. Nothing.
On the other hand, prosecutor Hank Brennan's closing focused on cell phone and car data that he says shows that John O'Keefe never moved off the front lawn, creating only one possibility.
She was drunk. She hit him, and she left him to die.
Brennan called the defense's theory a conspiracy and a distraction.
Because every time they say something like that, you look the other way. Don't look at her. Look the other way.
And he played Read's own words again.
John looked like a buffalo on the prairie. It was just a lawn and a heat. And I was looking to find him on the side of the road. I was expecting I'd find him.
Who will the jury believe? Here were the final words they were left with.
Let the community feel, through your verdict, that justice cannot be bent and that it will not be buried. Find Karen Read not guilty, not guilty, not guilty.
John O'Keefe was not a buffalo on a prairie. John O'Keefe was a person, and he was murdered by Karen Read.
By the time they were sent back to the deliberation room, those deliberating jurors, which consist of 7 women and 5 men, only got about 90 minutes to talk before the end of the day. They'll be back first thing Monday morning for a full day of deliberations. Live in Dedham, Kristina Rex, WBZ News.
Thank you. And as those closing arguments were taking place inside the courthouse, hundreds of Karen Read supporters were outside for their closing arguments. This is a case that has garnered nationwide attention, David.
So, Lisa, now we wait to hear what those jurors will decide. They have weeks of detailed testimony to sort through, 8 weeks, lots of evidence. WBZ's Tammy Mutasa continues our live team coverage tonight with a look at how our legal analyst broke down today's closing arguments. Tammy?
Yeah, David and Lisa, hundreds of those supporters were out here already anxiously waiting the verdict. And experts say there is no doubt this jury understands how serious this is because of the weight of the case. The waiting game begins for a large crowd, which has been waiting, listening closely to closing arguments, jury instructions, then deliberations, as a different jury of 5 women and 7 men, including an African-American foreman, will decide Karen Read's fate a second time.
And I'm pretty sure that we're all just even more sweaty and nervous to see what happens.
WBZ legal analyst Catherine Loftus says the bar for proving beyond a reasonable doubt is complicated, especially in a complex case with dozens of witnesses, scientific evidence, and a battle of experts.
Ultimately, the prong that is the most important in all of these charges is, did she cause the death of John O'Keefe? That's the one that really is the most difficult to prove for the Commonwealth. So we'll see, we'll see what they think.
And now that the jury has the case, they have to decide which side was more convincing, the Commonwealth's theory of how John O'Keefe died or the defense's.
Listen, I think we saw excellent lawyering today from both Hank Brennan and Alan Jackson. Very different styles, very different presentations. But, as an attorney watching other lawyers who are just, their skill level is so high.
And experts say in a case like this one, it could take a while to decide, but then again, some jurors might already have their answer. Live in Dedham, Tammy Mutasa, WBZ News.
All right, Tammy, thank you.